Hi everyone, my name is Victor and I am one of the authors of Technique. Today we're going to continue with our course and we're going to be looking at understanding and using the Ansible ad hoc command. Before we look at this chapter, we're going to set up our lab. In the previous lessons, we've looked at what Ansible is, we've looked at how to create the Ansible inventory file. We've also looked at how to configure, or rather how to create the different Ansible configuration files. So before we look at how to use the Ansible ad hoc command, we need to actually set up our lab. So we're going to be using two nodes. Here is the first node, which is the Ansible control node. So if I do IP-A, you can see that this node has the IP of 192.168.72.141. And the second node, which is the managed host, which is HQS dev1. If I do IP-A, you can see that the second node has the IP of 192.168.72.140. So these are the two nodes that we're going to be working with. The first node, which is the Ansible node, is going to be the of course the control node, and we're also going to use it as the managed host as well. So the host name for this is DRS dev1, while the one for the managed node, the host name is HQS dev1. Alright, so what we need to do is to make sure that it can resolve the IP to the host name. So that's what we're going to do. So let's just start with the control node first. So to do that, of course, you can use your DNS, or you can use the etc host file. So I'm just going to use the etc host file. So here I can add 192.168.72.141. This is DRS dev1, and this is going to be DRS dev1.technique.com. So I don't need to put any canonical. So for the second host, this is going to be 192.168.72.140. This is going to be HQS dev1, and this is going to be HQS dev1.technique.com. So if I ping DRS dev1.technique.com, so you can see that it's replying. So if I also do that with the HQS, you should also reply. Oops, sorry, HQS, not HQSS. So you can see that this is also replying. So we're going to also do this for the second node as well. So I'm just going to copy this and paste it. I'm just going to copy the same here. And I'm going to paste it on HQS dev1. So this is HQS dev1. So I'm just going to paste this here. Oops. Yes, I must have copied the wrong thing. Okay, so let me just start then. This is going to be 192.168.72.141. DRS dev1 DRS dev1.technique.com. So the same thing here. This is going to be 140. This is going to be HQS. This is going to be HQS. So if I ping HQS dev1.technique.com, it should reply. And if I also ping DRS dev1, this should also reply. So this is fine. So we're also going to be working with the user Lisa. So let's see if I have Lisa here. Lisa is going to be the um is going to be the user that is going to be using the Ansible software. So Lisa will be the user that will be doing all the Ansible operations. So on DRS Dev 1, I have Lisa. If I check HQS Dev 1 2, I should also have the user Lisa. So you can see that I have the user Lisa on HQS Dev 1. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that Lisa is a sudo user. So on DRS Dev 1, I can just look at the syntax. In case you forget, you can just look at the syntax. So this is sudo as, I can do sudo.conf. Alright, so what I want to do is I don't want to add Lisa to the rules group because I just want to pick the whole password policy thing. This should be sudo as. Alright, so you can see where you can always pick the syntaxes from. So what I want to do is I'm going to be picking this. This says allow people in group to run all commands, allow root to run all commands. This one is same thing without a password. So, and this is what I want. I want to be able to run all the commands, and I don't want you to prompt me for a password. So I'm just going to copy this syntax here rather, and I can just create a drop-in file for the user Lisa in the sudoers.d file. So this is going to be Lisa. So I need to change this to Lisa. So of course, if I cut this file, oops, this is cut here. Alright, so I'm also going to copy this, and I'm going to do this on the manage nodes as well. So this is HQS Dev 1. Let me just clear the screen. I'm going to do vim etc sudo as .d Lisa. So I'm going to save the file. Alright, so now on the manage nodes, we know that Lisa is going to be the one that will be doing the Ansible operation. Lisa will be executing the task. So that is fine. The next thing we need to do is to create the Ansible configuration file, and we're going to be doing that on the manage node, on the Ansible control node. So this is the Ansible control node DRS Dev 1. So I can just create a directory called, I need to log in as Lisa. So I'm going to do that immediately. Just going to log in as Lisa. Alright, you can see now that I'm logged in as Lisa. So I'm going to make the directory called Ansible. Alright, so I can cd it to Ansible, and here I can create my Ansible configuration file. So I can have the default header here, and I can have the inventory here. So the inventory parameter is going to be in /home/Lisa/Ansible directory. I'm going to call it static ini inventory. So we're going to create this inventory file, and here I'm going to have the remote user. Remote user is going to be Lisa, and the ask pass. So I'm still going to remove this parameter actually, because I want to be very sure that I have the configuration, I have everything well configured. Okay, let me just remove it now, because I don't want it to always prompt us for password. Privilege escalation going to have become equals to become user equals root, become method equals sudo, and become ask pass. This is false. Alright, so I have the Ansible configuration file here. Don't forget, in this present working directory, so I can also create the inventory file. So the inventory file is static, just as we defined it in this configuration file. Is static ini inventory. So in the inventory file, the managed node, rather, we only have one managed node, and the managed node is HQS dev1.technid.com. So don't forget, because I said that I'll also be using the control node as the managed node as well. So let's just assume that we have two managed nodes, and the control node is drs dev1.technid.com. You can also make it localhost. So even if you don't put localhost here, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to put it here. So these are the way I'm defining my managed nodes. And also I can also say, okay, I want to put some nodes in groups. So let's say group 1. I'm going to put both HQS dev1.technid.com in group 1 and drs dev1.technid.com and localhost. They are the same thing. So why I'm doing this is that I might just want to execute a command against group 1. So that means the commands are going to be executed against HQS and DRS. DRS is the same thing as localhost. And I might also want to just execute a command only against HQS. So I'm just going to pick only HQS, or only against localhost. I'm just going to pick the localhost. So I can even just remove this, so it won't be any some sort of confusion. So if you have any other thing that we need to put here as we go on in this course, we will keep adding it here in the configuration file. So let's test our lab. You might not know what I'm doing now if you're not conversant in using Ansible, but don't worry. By the time we begin the Ansible adhoc command, you would really understand what I've done. So this is just, I'm just trying to use an adhoc command here. So this is HQS dev1 on HQS dev1.technid.com. I'm going to use the, of course, the command module. Let me just use the argument uptime. Okay, you can see that I can't reach this host. It's saying fail to connect to the host via SSH. Lisa at hqsdev1.technid.com. Let me try localhost, which is the control node itself. Yes. Okay, so I can't reach this too. Let's try DRS. Of course, localhost is still the same thing as DRS dev1.technid.com. So I can't reach this as well. So let's just try one thing here. Ask pass equals true. Though I don't want this to be here, but let's just say something so we can be able to troubleshoot what the issue might be. Alright, so you can see that I can actually reach the HQS dev1, which is the managed node, when I put the ask pass. So that means it just wants me to put in the password. So I have not done something I should do here, and that is we need to configure the SSH key based authentication and not password based authentication. So I'm just going to remove this and we're going to configure the SSH key based authentication. Let's generate the SSH key. So this is going to be SSH key gen. Alright, so I'm just going to copy the public key to the managed host. So I'm going to do SSH copy ID. I'm going to do for Lisa at hqs-dev1.technid.com. Alright, so we can see the number of keys added is 1. So now let's try and SSH into HQS-dev1 with Lisa. So let's see if we're going to be prompted password or not. Alright, so this is good. We can now SSH into HQS-dev1 via Lisa. So let's run the command again. That's Ansible hqs-dev1.technid.com. I'm going to do for uptime. Okay, so I'm not in the Ansible directory. So like I said, we configured Ansible in the current directory. Alright, so this is good. You can now see that we can get the uptime status of HQS-dev1. So let's try for the other node, which is the local host. So let me just do local host here. So we cannot still connect to the local host via SSH. So we also need to generate the SSH key. We already have it generated, so we will just have to copy it. So I'm just going to do SSH copy ID to Lisa at drsdev1.technic.com. Alright, so let's try again. So you can see that we can now connect to the local host. So this is fine. If I do all, so we only have just 2 nodes. So let's just do all. Oh, sorry that I have to actually have to go to the Ansible directory. Alright, so this is fine. We can connect to HQS-dev1. We can also connect to DRS-dev1, which is the same thing as the local host. So I'm just going to edit this file here. I don't want this to be happening in case we need to, execute the Ansible command against all nodes. So I don't want to be doing that twice. I need to edit this file. Static ini inventory. So I'm going to remove DRS-dev1. So I'm just going to have localhost. Alright, so this is fine. Okay, so now we have the localhost and we have the hqs-dev1.technic.com. So we've been able to set up our lab. With this, we can, run our Ansible task, run any Ansible operation that we want to run. So in the next video, I'm going to show you how to use the add up command, and then we'll proceed from there. So thank you for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe to this channel, like our videos, share our videos, comment on our videos. this is how you can help us to do more, because we really want to do more for you guys, but please help us too so we can do more. Thank you once more. And in the advent where we need to escalate our privilege, don't forget you need to actually understand the Ansible configuration file, and that's why I've been saying that you need to do that, and that's why I took my time to explain it in the previous videos. You can see that we're going to be escalating our privilege as root, and we've already said become as pass equals false. So in case we get to the stage where we need to escalate our privilege, then we might also need to copy the SSH keys for the root user and not for the Lisa user. All right. So when we get to that, we'll know how to cross the bridge. But for now, just leave it as this. It's fine as this. Just leave everything as we have done this. And in the next video, we're going to continue. Thank you. Bye for now.